Hello viewers, this is Gayatri. It's my first video. Okay. Today we are going to discuss about the topic plant physiology, which is one of the major important topic in the NEET or MCET syllabus. In future, I'll also upload some of the important topics of the NEET or MCET syllabus. Okay. Let's go into the topic plant physiology. Physiology means nothing but the study of the internal and external factors of the organism. So here we are going to discuss about the plant physiology. So today we are going to discuss about the internal and external activities and what are the elements present in the plant. Okay, let's go to the introduction. Introduction. In this huge world, we know there are so many living beings like humans, plants, animals, bacteria, viruses, etc. So, which are normally every organism is interdependent on the each other for its functions. Okay, in that the plants are the superb resources for every organism's life cycle because will depend upon the plants. Every organism will depend upon the plants. Okay, so because they are the major living organisms, they'll go through so many variations and to sustain these environmental changes and to balance the nature. Okay, so those changes may be physiological or chemical. In that, today we are going to discuss about some physiological changes that will occur in the plants. Okay, physiological changes means what are the structural changes occur in the plant. Normally, to make the structure of the plant, it needs more. If we see the plant structure, simply normally we'll say it will have leaves, stem, root, etc. So in that also the roots, how the roots are developed and what are the elements which will help fill in the root or shoot or leaf development. And those elements we are going to discuss about those elements which will play a crucial role in the development of the plant. Okay, so here some of them are nothing but pigments, hormones, and what are the nutrients required. Okay, everything we are going to discuss about now. In that, simply if we say, as I already told you, the study of the internal activities of the plant, like physical and chemical activities of the plants, comes under the plant physiology. If we see what are the internal physical and chemical activities means, for example, photosynthesis, diffusion, dormancy and germination, they'll come under small scale, means they are the some of the small scale changes and comes under the physical and chemical activities. And I think next one is the phytochemistry. Phytochemistry means we'll study about the every chemical compound present in the plant. What is its, what that compound will show, what are the changes that compound will show, will come under the phytochemistry. Okay, here they gave you the definition, means the study of the chemical composition of the plants is nothing but the phytochemistry. For example, biochemistry of the plants, and phytopathology means the study of the diseases of the plants. Okay, there are so many components or elements which are present in the plant, as I already told you, but those elements, because every element does not play a same role, okay, or similar role. So depending upon its role and its requirement, those elements are categorized into macro and micronutrients. Okay, my macronutrients means the elements which are required in which are required for the plant or any organism for its sustenance. Okay, so here the elements which are required in the large quantities come under the macronutrients, and the elements which are required in the small quantities will come under the micronutrients. So first of all, we'll discuss about some of the macronutrients which are present in the plants. Okay, as I already told you, they are required in large quantities. That's why they are known as macronutrients. Some of them are nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, potassium, calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and sulfur. Okay, these are the nutrients which are helpful for the elements which are helpful for the plant in its growth in larger quantities. Okay, why they are helpful for the plant in larger quantities means they are majorly present in the cell wall of the plant, means the components of the cell wall, and they are present in the nucleic acids, nothing but DNA and RNA, and they are also present in the proteins. Here I told you, I mean I showed you what are the elements which are present in different types of the tissues or molecules. Okay, nitrogen, oxygen, carbon, etc. These are all some of majorly they are present in the cell wall of the plant, and proteins of the proteins and nucleic acids of the cell, and some of them will help the enzymes of the molecule, enzymes of the reaction to proceed. Okay. Example, potassium, which helps in the cofactor. Cofactor means the element which will help the enzyme to proceed the reaction. Okay, and another one, calcium, which is one of the major element in humans also. Normally, we know that calcium plays main role in the strength, means it will give us strength. Like that also, it will give strength, means it will help in the membrane synthesis. Membrane means which is present outside the cell, protect the cell. So it will mainly help in the membrane synthesis of the plant. Okay, remaining all of them, I already told you, they are present in the nucleic acids, phospholipids means fats, and proteins, etc. So these are the macronutrients which are majorly present in the plant and help in different functions. Okay. Next one, micronutrients. Micronutrients means they are also useful for the plant, but in smaller quantities. Okay, here we can see the examples: chlorine, iron, boron, zinc, copper, etc. Majorly micronutrients, most of the micronutrients are helpful as cofactors for the enzymes. For example, manganese, molybdenum, iron, etc. Okay, chlorine. Chlorine is, and we can also see most of them are present in the photosystems also, and most of them, for example, iron is the major component present in the chlorophyll. It means it will give more strength to the chlorophyll pigment to proceed the reaction like photosynthesis. Okay, these are some of the micronutrients which will play different roles in smaller quantities. Okay, for example, some of them we can see molybdenum. It also shows it also helps in the nitrogen fixation. Okay, these are the functions of the micronutrients in the plants. Okay, next molecules we'll go through is pigments. Pigments also come under the molecules which will play a crucial after nutrient. These are the another molecules which will play a crucial role in the plant metabolism. Okay, normally what is the main function of the pigments means they'll selectively observe the wavelengths of the light, means the plant when the plant is in the sunlight. Okay, they will selectively observe, means they'll observe some of the wavelengths of the light, and it will emit different, means it will reflect another wavelengths of the light. Okay, this is the main function of the pigments, means they'll simply give the color and energy to the plants. See, we can see the plants use that observed light, so that observed light is used in the certain chemical reactions, and the reflected light means, and after the chemical reactions they'll reflect the remaining light to give the color to different tissues. Like the leaves will show green color, shoot will show brown color, like that they'll emit different types. Okay, as here we can see some of the pigments like chlorophyll, carotenoids, anthocyanins, and beta-alanines. Okay, so we'll discuss about these pigments. Okay, first of all, chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the primary pigment because it plays a major role in the plant metabolism. Simply we already know the main process is photosynthesis, which gives the energy to the plant. Okay, so chlorophyll is the main pigment which helps for the photosynthesis of the plant. Okay, what the chlorophyll will do means it will absorb the red and blue wavelengths of the light and emits the green color. That's why the leaf will appear in the green color. Okay, it plays a crucial role in the photosynthesis by allowing the plants to gain the energy through the light. Okay, so depending upon the placement or depending upon their existence, chlorophylls are divided into so many types, like chlorophyll A, which is present in the plants and red algae, and chlorophyll B, which is present in the mostly present in the plants. Chlorophyll C, it is present in the diatoms and heterochons. Chlorophyll D and F are mostly seen in the cyanobacteria. Okay, whatever the position of the chlorophyll and wherever it is present, mainly it helps the organisms to gain the energy by absorbing the light. Okay, that's why it is known as the primary pigment. Okay, next one is the carotenoids. Okay, these are the next important pigments which are helpful for the plant. What is their role means, here we can see what they will do. They are also known as like friends. We can say that they are the friends of the chlorophyll pigments. Why? Because they'll help to gather the wavelengths of the light which are not absorbed by the chlorophylls. Okay, the photosynthesis reaction also requires so many light wavelengths of the light, whereas the chlorophylls will absorb red and blue wavelengths. So remaining wavelengths which are useful for the photosynthesis reaction are gathered by the carotenoid pigments. Okay, like orange color, orange wavelength, yellow color, red color wavelengths. Okay, so they also come under the class of tetraterpenoids. Okay, and what is the major role of these carotenoids is they'll act as antioxidants. Okay, in humans they'll promote the healthy eyesight, means the carotenoids which are present in the plants, which will help the humans to improve their eyesight and to see clearly. Okay, here we can see some of the examples of the carotenoids like carotenes, lutein and lycopene. Carotenes are present in the carrots and appear in the orange color, and lutein or the yellow pigments present in the most of the fruits and vegetables. They appear in the yellow color. Okay, next last one is the lycopene, which is one of the main pigment for the red color of the tomatoes. Okay, these are the carotenoids which will play major role to in the photosynthesis in the plants. Okay, next pigments are the anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are the water soluble flavonoid pigments that appear red and blue color. Okay, according to the water's pH, means if we dissolve some of the anthocyanin pigments in the water, depending upon that water's pH, okay, the anthocyanins will appear in the red or blue color. Okay, what is their main function is they'll provide sufficient color to all the higher tissues of the plants. For example, I already told you, mainly they'll provide color to the plants, tissues to the tissues of the plants. Okay, for example, the flowers petals contain the petals of the flowers. It may be rose or hibiscus or whatever it may be. Most of the petals of the plants contain about 30% of the anthocyanin, means most of the tissues of the petals contain only anthocyanin. Around 30% is present in the only petals of the flowers. Okay, that's why it will give different colors to the different flowers. Okay, next one will come under beta lanins. Beta lines. Okay, these are also yellow and red colored water soluble pigments, means they are like anthocyanins. But what is the difference between these anthocyanins and beta lanins? These are the beta lines or the derivatives of the tyrosine amino acid. Okay, means they are derived from the tyrosine amino acid. They are responsible, these are also, as I already told you, they are similar to the anthocyanins. So that's why they are water soluble, and they are also responsible for the color of the tissues. For example, beta lanins, one of the beta lanin compound is present in the beetroots, which will give deep red color to the beetroots. And that's why these beta lanins are used as food coloring agents. Okay, they are mostly present in the caryophyllines. Example, cactus and amaranth. Okay, normally they actually they are not having any function, not yet, but some of the scientists said that they'll show some fungicidal activities. Okay, these are the main pigments which are present in the plants, means which will play major role. There are also some other, but these are the main pigments present in the plants. Okay, next we'll see. Next one are the plant hormones, next compounds. These are also, as we already discussed, the nutrients and pigments, and hormones are also one of the molecules which will help in the plant growth. Okay, that's why they are also known as the plant growth regulators, means they'll regulate the growth of the plant. They'll mainly helpful in the growth of the plant. But these plant hormones are present in different places of the plant, means some of them are present in the leaf, some of them are present in the stem, some of them are present in the roots. Okay, but everywhere, what is their main role means they'll always present in the low concentrations, but they'll show more reactions. Here I told you. Okay, They are produced in specific locations and observed in low concentrations, but they'll alter the process of the cells. Okay. Next one, what are they are also known as, simply we can say, the chemicals that promote and influence the plant growth, development, and differentiation. Okay. Here I already told you that some of the hormones are present in some places like leaf, root, etc. So we can see these auxins, some of the examples. Okay, auxins. Auxins play a crucial role in the life cycle of the plants. And next class are cytokinins. They are also help in the root and shoot. They'll help in the cell division and root and shoot morphogenesis. Okay, next one are the abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is mainly present in the seeds and buds. Buds means flower buds and the starting buds. Okay, they'll help in the seed and bud dormancy. And next one are the gibberellins. Mainly they are useful for the seed germination. So these are the first hormones which will we can observe when the plant will grow. These, the gibberellins, will play a main role in the germination of the seeds. Okay, and along with that they'll also help in the fruit and leaf senescence. And last but not least, ethylene. Ethylene is also one of the plant growth regulator, which is useful for the fruit ripening. Okay, these are the major plant hormones which are present in the plants and play a crucial role in different different reactions. Okay, at last we conclusion. At last, likewise, plants also show different metabolisms to alter the environmental changes. As we already discussed some of the elements present in the plants. Okay, along with that, the plants also show different types of metabolisms. Means these all elements will participate in different types of metabolism. For example, chlorophyll helps for the photosynthesis, whereas the auxins, these plant hormones, will help in the growth. Means how the plant will grow, it will show different types of chemical reactions for its growth and differentiation, development, cell cycle, cell division. These are all the different types of metabolisms. Okay, protein synthesis, etc. Okay, so along with the metabolisms, the plant's growth also depends upon the environmental changes, means seasonal changes, and dependence on the light, rainfall, etc. So for example, here we can see some of the examples. Like for example, photomorphogenesis is the use of the light to control the structural development. Photomorphogenesis means it is also one of the mechanism through which we can use the light to control the structural development. For example, in labs, they'll grow the plant, different types of hybrids, by altering the wavelengths of the light. Sometimes they'll give more wavelengths of the light to show the, to see the growth of the plants. So like that mechanism is known as photomorphogenesis. Okay. Next one is the photoperiodism. Photoperiodism means it is the sensitivity of the plants to the day length. And it means depending upon the changes. For example, normally some of the plants can grow in the day, can grow in daytime. Daytime means they need more sunlight, and some plants will grow more, they'll show different types of chemical changes in the night time, means they need some of the sunlight. So depending upon the sensitivity to the light, the plants are categorized into long day, means which need more sunlight, and midday and short day plants. Okay, that mechanism to which the plants will show sensitivity to the day length is known as the photoperiodism. Okay, these are some of the environmental changes or the mechanisms the plants will show. Okay, however, some of the environmental effects I already told you, like rainfall, seasonal changes will also affect, along with its physiological changes, some of the environmental changes also will affect the plant's growth. Why? Because they have to maintain the balance, maintain the nature. Okay, they have to maintain the nature's balance. That's why the plant's growth depends upon its physiological changes and along with the environmental changes. Okay, this is the topic. Okay, okay. Next we'll go through another topics. Okay, thank you.